Oh, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming by. It's Chris Petri. We're actually going to have an absolutely fun time here. This is the painting we're going to create. It's actually a gorgeous rendering of a beautiful house. It's got all the exciting details that you might like to have. Some light fixtures, a beautiful door, some gorgeous windows here and there, some beautiful features on the roof here, a dormer, a couple of gorgeous gables, a little bit of a metal roof over here, a box window, just all the, beautiful stone stone sidewalk here and stone stairs, all the fun things you would want to kind of create in a beautiful rendering of a house. So we're going to show you how to do this. We're going to show you how to do the pencil drawing first, how to lay everything out to get it just right. We just cover how basic and simple it is. It's simple shapes, rectangles, squares, rectangles, a few triangles, only a few triangles, but mostly all squares and rectangles. So you'll notice that we have a repetitive theme here of squares and rectangles, and that's really the key to this, how this looks so beautiful is we're using repetitive patterns in our painting, and that's the dominant theme in our painting is squares and rectangles, and those look beautiful. Architects use these all the time, so we're going to kind of use the same idea in our painting here. And again, I cover the whole enchilada, the whole chock full of nuts information that you need to create this painting, and it's real simple. We'll also cover how if you just want to do a smaller section of this painting, if you don't want to do the whole thing because you figure, oh my God, it's going to take me 2 weeks to do this, no sweat. We cover how you can just do a small section of this painting. So trust me, we're going to have a great time here doing this painting here. Let's get started. Enough with the chitter chatter. Okay, so we'll get started in just a second. Be right back. All right, everybody, we just saw the finished painting. Again, welcome here, and thank you so much for coming by. Chris Petri here again. And I just wanted to, I did this basic sketch here with pencil on a piece of printer paper. So our finished watercolor paper is here. I'm going to go with a first draft with some pencil lines and just do an outline of what I'm going to do on my watercolor paper. So I hope you'll sometimes employ this type of a process to your painting, to your artwork, is sometimes if you find it's a new subject, and we're doing something new here. So, I mean, we do buildings, we do architecture on my channel all the time. Beautiful, paintings of buildings and stone, large stone structures and bridges and fun stuff, landscapes with homes, all good stuff like that. This is just more of like a architectural rendering of a home. So let's say you're an architect. Some of you are probably architects. You might have to do these type of designs when you're creating a plan for someone that you're going to build a house for, and you say, you know what, this person needs like a beautiful artistic rendering of their future house. Let's say if you're going to design them a house or a building, whatever it is. So I know architects are trained to watercolor paint to create renderings of their works that they're doing. They're designing, they're planning, and so forth. So here I'm just kind of doing that same idea. There's a house here. Maybe we're planning this for someone. We're going to build them a house, and we're saying, okay, we have this beautiful house. We've designed it. We've worked out all the different windows and the gables and the roof lines and the basic walls and everything, and the landscaping and maybe some of the other things here. The landscaping, the walls, maybe some retaining walls, some lighting. We have some lighting fixtures and so forth. And so this is basically what you would come up with. You would kind of maybe sketch out something like this after you maybe create your blueprints and your plans, and you say, all right, I'm just going to sketch out basically what I did on my blueprints. So you draw out that on a piece of paper like this, and you say, okay, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it onto my watercolor paper. So if you do it the first time on something like a piece of printer paper, it's just a little more familiar with, you'll be more familiar with the process of how you're going to kind of draw it, plan it out. You might be using a ruler. That's fine if you want to use a ruler or a few different kinds of rulers. You can use rulers like this. You could scale it out if you want to, perfect scale. You can use your T-square so you can perfectly align things on the paper, on your watercolor pad. If you're using a pad of paper, you can use this on the edge of your pad so you get perfectly plumb lines on your page. And then you can do the same thing over here. You use this straight edge here on your pad, and you get perfectly parallel lines, level lines across your painting and when you're doing your drawing. So you can use these type of things, or you could just take a real fun approach and just say, you know what, okay, let's just maybe draw it out freehand. We don't necessarily have to do everything with the ruler and scale everything, although you could do that. That's fine too. You might find that very exciting to scale everything out exactly the way you want to. But I'm just going to kind of go with a freehand drawing like this, which resembles maybe closely what I've already, maybe did on a computerized version of a rendering of a house. All right, so we have this here. No other things we really have to do. Maybe just a little bit of. We're just going to have some trees over here. So let's just maybe kind of pencil in a little bit of trees here. Maybe we're going to have some over here. Maybe some more up here. Over here, so we're going to put some trees, some nice foliage, and over here, and then maybe we're going to have some bushes in here, like so, inside of the yard here, and then we have our wall, and then we're going to have maybe some more beautiful bushes and maybe some flowers and plants and things over here by these walls. So we're going to have these walls here and these piers, like so. And then we're going to just keep working this idea, and we're going to have a stone sidewalk, front sidewalk that leads up to the house, like so. So this is going to be a prominent part of our sketch. We want to have that leading ourselves into this painting and this rendering, and then we're going to have this gorgeous door here underneath this portico or foyer area, open air foyer. So we're going to have our door there, nice dark wood door. Maybe a beautiful walnut door or mahogany or something like that. Lots of windows, everything. The predominant theme here is really squares and rectangles. So this is what the beauty of this design is: squares and rectangles everywhere. Rectangles and squares everywhere, just a multitude of them. And then the only thing that maybe breaks off from that a little bit are these triangles. So you have just a few triangles here on these gables and this dormer here, but for the most part everything is pretty much a lot of just tons of squares and rectangles, and that looks really pleasing. A repetitive pattern in your artwork, no matter what type of artwork you're creating, really does look beautiful. You'll find that that's one of the really beautiful design principles you can use when you're designing your paintings. Architects, and you use this when they're designing buildings, homes, all their types of projects that they do. They use repetitive design and repetitive shapes to give an overall pleasing look to a project. So if we were designing a house and we did squares and circles and triangles and square, and we just mixed it all up, and we didn't have the predominant shape here are squares and rectangles. So that dominates this whole design on this house, with a little bit of a little bit of a different pattern with the gables on here, but for the most part that is the main theme. You could do all circles, but really, not many people would have a home with all circular windows, and it would kind of, that would not be something. Maybe, people that design ships or boats, things like that, well, yeah, maybe circles are the predominant shape. But you follow what I'm saying? Okay, so you're the artist, you're kind of understanding, and you're getting an insight into what we're doing here. We're kind of just noticing that the predominant theme of this is squares and rectangles in this design, and we're just going to use that as our main feature of our design on this house. So let's come back in just a few minutes. We'll take this same rendering and we'll put it on our watercolor paper right here, and then we'll paint it. Wow, we're going to have an exciting time here. Can you imagine how this is going to look when we watercolor paint this with all the trees around here and the beautiful greens and yellows and gorgeous bushes and branches and trees over here, and then the gorgeous, maybe it's going to be a white stucco house with some, maybe like a gray color roof, a bluish gray roof, We're going to have a fun time doing this. I hope you're going to stick with us here and come along with us on this journey of kind of doing an architectural rendering of a home. I know you're going to have a great time with this. Keep it as simple as you want. If you don't want to do this whole rendering, no problem. Maybe just do a small part of this. Maybe section it off and maybe do something like this. Maybe I can make this a little more, we can kind of see this here. So, maybe you just want to do a smaller section of the house. Just take a small section of it here, maybe like this. And just do that. Like if you feel too burdened with, I can't do this whole house, it's too much information, no problem. Take a small section or do a small section over here. I'll change my marker here. Maybe do a small section over here, like this. Forget the lamps and the piers over here. Maybe just do a simple something like this. Or if you want, you know what? You could even do, maybe just do this. Maybe do this in a portrait format. Turn your pad of paper upright to do a portrait style, and just do that. Just do this one doorway with the gable, the main gable here, and a couple lights. You know what I mean? Simplify it if you have to, or if you want to. Again, this is all having fun. We're just having fun with watercolors. There's no pressure. We're just here to try something new, see how we can have a good time and kind of work something out like this, and enjoy the process, and draw this scene first and then paint it. We'll do that. And if you want, again, if you don't want to do this whole scene, no problem. You could section it off and just say, I'm going to do the purple. I'm going to do the purple rendition. Let's call purple number 1. Purple is number 1. Just here, the center part with the doorway and the main gable and some of the roof and some trees, a little bit of the sidewalk. And then we'll call blue. We'll call blue 2. Blue is 2. Maybe blue is the right side over here, where you're going to do the gable and the gable over here, the front door, and maybe this box window. And that's going to be 2. And then if you want, maybe you're more fond of over here with the dormer. So you're going to do orange 3. And orange 3 is going to be here, where you're going to do the front entryway, this window, and this dormer, and the roof, and some trees. And you don't have to do any of these. You could do the lamps if you want. The lamps here, you can kind of put in what you want and take out what you want. Again, it's like a smorgasbord, a nice, buffet. You can just pick and choose what you want. You can come to this video, pick and choose what you want. You don't have to just do this whole, rendering and do the whole painting. Do some smaller portions of it if you want. That's fine. Again, there's no pressure here on my channel. Do what you like to do. Have fun with your paintings. Have fun with your drawings. You'll learn something new all the time. You can also take the approach of try the 1 first, the 2 next week, or a couple weeks from now, do 2. Then after that, maybe a week after that, do the 3rd side of this painting. And then on the 4th time, you're going to do all of it together, because you've already practiced each section. You'll be totally familiar with it. And then when you go in to do this whole painting, not a problem. You're already familiar with all of the parts. It's sort of like breaking things down into smaller parts, and then eventually you can paint the whole picture. That's really a lot of it. Like, I practiced that way a lot when I was first started watercolor. I did a lot of still life, so I practiced apples for a long time. 1 apple. I just did 1 apple. 1 apple. I did an orange. I did 1 orange. I did a little vase. I did a little coffee cup, a little teacup. And I started doing that all the time, practicing on little things, little spots of interesting things, And then after a while, I said, let me put all the fruit together. Let me do an apple, orange, and a teacup together. And then I did the 3 together. Then eventually I said, let me add some flowers to that. So I practiced some flowers for a while with a vase, and you get the picture. So I'm giving you the whole enchilada here of information of how I started in watercolor. So don't be afraid to break things down into smaller parts first. Get familiar with each part first, and then you can put the whole thing together after a few practices of each of the parts. Works great. I know you can do this. I'll be right back. We'll start drawing on our watercolor paper and get everything started. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started now on our main sketch on our watercolor paper. So I noticed that there was some markers that bleeded through on my watercolor paper. I'm not really going to worry about that too much. I'm just going to keep going for the gusto here. So I'm going to basically take the idea of maybe 1/3 here, 1/3, 1/3, 2/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So for the first third, I'm going to do the ground level where the bottom of the home is, the bottom of the house. And then the second third is approximately the rooftop height where the roof is up there. And the rest is the sky and some of the trees. And then I'm just going to contour draw this basically, but before I contour draw it, let me just do a really basic light sketch. And we'll see how that works out. So again, let me just kind of get a little bit of a line across here, very light line, just so I can kind of get my light lines across so I don't go too far off the track here. And okay, so now I'm going to start my my main wall over here on the right side. And again, we're just going to go with a rectangle. Let's go do our first rectangle here. Like this. Okay, so we're doing one rectangle here like this. That's done. Now we can do a super light square here. And then we're going to do another rectangle over here, like so. So you can see I did a rectangle, a square, and then another rectangle. That's it. Now, I'll go left to right. We're going to do the rooftop here like so. Then we're going to do our dormer over here, which is kind of center. So what you could do, if you want, I'm not necessarily always going to do this, but I can do this just now to 4 inches. Okay, so this rectangle is 4 inches wide, 2 inches. I'm just going to use the ruler for my advantage. Use your rulers for your advantage. If you want to use a ruler, it helps. You can kind of center things a little more. So you wouldn't want to make your dormer over here, which is centered on this rendering I'm doing. You wouldn't want to make this dormer here like way off center. You want to keep it centered. So if you have a little challenge sometimes with seeing things from, you're not quite sure, trust me, I'm in construction my whole life. I know I can see things pretty much centered. I can usually get things centered, real easily, like a painting on a wall or, things like that. I can kind of see the center mark of things pretty quickly and pretty easily. It's just a thing that you get when you work in construction. So 4 inches here, 2 inches is center. We can practice, and I'll say, okay, let me try. Let's see how good my eye is. Where's center here? I'm thinking center is here. Let me check, see if my eye is good. This is 2.5 inches, approximately. 2.5 inches. What's half of 2.5 inches? 1.25 inches. Okay, I got it right on the money. Perfect. Let's try this one. Rectangle here. Okay, where's the center of this rectangle? Right there. Let me see if I'm good. 4.25 inches, 2 1/8. I'm pretty close, almost exact. There we go, center. Okay, so this is the dormer over here. Again, we said we did want to keep that center. So, and that dormer is about, let's make this dormer 5/8 of an inch on either side. 5/8. 5/8. Okay, so you can use your rulers. I think it's good to use your rulers if you want to. It's up to you. So I'm going to make this dormer like so. And then we're going to have the like that. And a little tiny bit of roof showing there. little bit of this dormer on the side here, so you can see this little bit of a side of the dormer, a little bit of an angle here, but not much. You'll notice on this on this painting here that we're doing, I'm pretty much staying with a two-dimensional drawing. So this is 95% two-dimensional, so you don't have to worry about angles. The only angles I think I've seen on this drawing that I'm going to do is right here. A little bit of roof here, and a little bit of that wall on the side of the dormer. That's the only angle I can see that you'll see anything with an angle on this. Okay, so I'm trying to keep this simple. I like simple too myself. Okay, so now we're going to do this here. We could take this center mark and just draw a very light pencil line up here. And then we just take this line up here and go up like that. And then come down like this. So I'm just getting that center mark straight up so that when we put our two angles up here to make our triangle, we kind of land in that same center mark area. And then you can always just lift up your pencil line a little bit. And I trust you. You're going to do what I'm doing here. You're going to follow along with me. And you're only going to do certain sections if you want. So you'll just focus in on the sections that you want to do. You don't have to do everything. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do another line up here. And I'm going to say, okay, I got to get these angles like so. So let me do this. One there. And then one here, a little bit. You want to have a little bit of that overhang there. So the gable overhangs a little bit on this wall. So this is the side wall of the home, the side of the house. You want that angle here to overhang a little bit. Same with over here. Let's take this one and do this and make this line here. And we can just lift this up a little bit like that. So we have a little bit of overhang over here too, like that. The only thing is actually this here is in front. So this one, this angle's over here. And then this angle goes behind here. Like that. There we go. And then once you get your angles, you just lift up your pencil lines a little bit. And then you can make your roof height there. Over here, maybe we're not going to have, maybe the roof isn't going to go all the way over there. Let's leave this over here. Okay, so I just adjusted my roof height a little bit. You know, again, you can adjust these things as you want. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're just having fun doing this. That's the whole thing. Let's have fun doing this painting and this drawing. Okay, so, all right, so now we've kind of got a lot of work done. We've got the rectangle here, square, rectangle. Then we did our triangles over here. One triangle, two triangles, three triangles, one up here too on the top of this dormer. And these are the gables. And then let's see what else we have. Okay, we're in really good shape right now. So this would be a perfect time to take a break. Again, when you're doing watercolors, I always mention this, and many of you have commented over the last couple years, 2-3 years, even for the last 5 years I've been on YouTube, 6 years I've been on YouTube. I notice some of you do leave comments, and some of you email me and say, Chris, thank you so much for letting me know to take some breaks when I'm working, because it helps a lot. I sometimes will walk away, come back an hour later, and look and see that there's some issues I had or some problems, and then I can kind of erase a few little little things, just minor things, and, kind of correct a few things or game plan. So I just wanted to say, I thank you for all your comments all of the time in the comment section, and your emails when you call in and email me and say, thanks so much for the great videos and tutorials, and I'm so happy that everyone is having a good time working on this channel with me, and we have a great time together. So let's continue on in just a few minutes, but let's again take some breaks. I need a break myself, and then I'll come right back and we'll kind of finish up the drawing. Then we'll get right into the the painting portion, okay? And I thank you too for your patience doing the drawing portion, but drawing is important, and that's why I'm doing more drawing videos. You'll notice I'm going to be doing more drawing videos, everybody, so you better start sharpening your pencils and pens and getting your pens out and getting your paper and drawing more, because this is part of why we draw as a watercolor artist. We want to be able to draw beautiful architecture like this, or a beautiful building, or even a landscape or flowers. We're going to always work on our drawing skills, because you can really render everything first in pencil, and then you just wash all that paint on there and use your colors, and half of the work's already done when you have everything down on pencil. And trust me, when I first started watercolor, I was thinking in my mind for months and months and months, how can I do watercolor without having to draw? Because drawing was difficult and I didn't like it, and I was having a real hard time with it. But trust me, just keep working on it, 10-15 minutes every day, do a couple little sketches and drawings, and you will get there, okay? And don't fret and get worried about things. Just practice your drawing 5-10 minutes a day, every day. Don't get distracted. Every day, 5-10 minutes, and after a while, you'll have an easy time doing something like this, which is basic shapes, 2 dimensions for the most part, simple stuff really, and you'll have it, okay? So let me come right back in a second, and I'll finish this drawing for you, and then we'll move right on to the painting portion, okay? Okay, we're getting back started again, and I'm going to sharpen my pencil. And we can finish up our drawing. So let me go across here, and then we're going to say, we're going to do I want to line up that. It's good to line up things sometimes in a row, level. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to line up this small window here, like that. Level it with that. Can't always do that. Up here, maybe this one here, I'm going to have to do up high. Okay, so I'm just doing my windows on my gables. And let me do my window over here, my box window. So my box window is pretty good here. Let's use some, maybe I'll use some of this. Let me see here. 1 inch, yeah, let's go with 1 inch on each side. 1 inch there, 1 inch over here, and that's going to be our box window. So this box window is basically protruding out from the wall, and that's why we call it a box window. And a lot of times those go right down to the ground level pretty much. So we can do that. Okay, and I'm just kind of doing a rendering of it here, not getting too fancy. And then it's also going to have a metal roof on it. They call this a standing seam metal roof. And basically here's my center line. And then I'm going to use maybe a quarter of an inch there, quarter of an inch here, maybe a little more on each side like that. That looks about good. And we just do this, like that. And then there's a couple of seams on it. Like that. Then we're going to have a border around the window of trim. So let's just do the border of trim. So let's do that. Let's do the border of trim around this window. Like so. And I try to keep it pretty much even. That looks pretty even. Good. And then let's do our, we're going to work, let's do this window over here. We have another window on this side of the house underneath the dormer. This is not a box window. This is just flush with the wall. So there's no protruding window here or window feature. It's just basically just a window set in the wall. And then there's a center This is like a trim in the middle piece. So there's two windows that are sort of fused together. They take two windows and they put them together, and then you get the effect of two windows side by side, like that. And let's go with 4. Center line is here, and then here and here. So we're making 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you have something that's divisible by 2, it's a lot easier to kind of draw that in, right? I just did halfway is 1, and then halfway between these two sides of this. So half, then half of that half, and then over here half of that half. So that's kind of dividing things by 2 is a little easier than doing things, you know, in odd numbers. So let's do this here. We're going to do thirds over here, 1, 2, 3. We're going to make 3 windows here. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3. 3 windows all fused together. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go halfway there, halfway here, and we're just lightly penciling it in because we're going to paint all of this. We're not going to worry about our drawing so much here. I know it sounds a little strange. I know this sounds strange, but all we're doing is getting pencil lines down so we know where we can paint and fill in our paint. You'll notice when we start painting this, you'll kind of see what I'm doing here. But we just want to have a basic reference of light pencil lines to know where to paint and do everything. Okay, so now we're going to do our doorway here, our archway. So let's go, again, I'm going to use measurements to sort of 3/4 of an inch on each side. 3/4 here, 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch over here. I'm going to make this super light pencil line here just so I know. That's going to be sort of like the edges of the wall. This might be a little bit off, so let me do this and move this line in a little bit. Okay, there we go. That looks better. So I just moved this line over a little to the left. Now we have our center line, and now I'm just going to do an archway here. Maybe I'll make an eyebrow arch, which is not quite an arch. Not a half moon arch, which would be like basically a half circle. This is more of an eyebrow arch, which is a soft arch in a sense. It's not a real, I guess, if I kind of just draw it out here, let me see if I have a scrap piece of paper. So a half circle arch or a half moon arch is an actual half of a circle, like so, like that. And then an eyebrow arch is a softer arch, like that. Okay, so that's the eyebrow arch. It's not really a full half of a circle, it's just like a soft arch like that. So I just did that. I did a softer arch, not a half circle or half moon as they say. There we go. Now we're going to have our floor here. Our floor is here inside this portico or this foyer area, open air foyer, and then we're going to do our door here. So we're going to do our door in here, like this, and the door is going to go all the way up to the top, almost to the top of the arch, like that. And that's going to be our door. And then for our door, we're going to make it like 3/4 door and 3/4 window and 1/4 door. So we're going to have like almost a full bit of window panes on that door, but not quite all the way to the bottom. So the bottom of the door has a lot of wood there. And then we'll just take our, and then we'll do the same thing, halfway, halfway, halfway. And there we go. So we got our wood door in there, And then we have some concrete in there or stone. And then we're going to come out this way and make our platform. Like so. Like that. Stairs. So again, you can use your ruler if you want. I'm doing very light lines because I'm going to go over this with watercolor paint and brush strokes and everything, and I'm not going to be too concerned. But right now, I could do, we can do these basic lines like this. And we have a little bit of the front sidewalk there, and then center of the door is going to be center of the stones. Like that. Just some stone. And then let's do our stone piers on either side. Stone piers, concrete piers, like that. Let's put some good hefty stones on top of those. And we're going to put some beautiful lamps on there too. We're going to make these lamps large. So we're going to do our lamps like so. I'm going to make the center mark there, center mark there. We're going to make our lamps like so. I'm going to take a quick break. We've been drawing quite a bit. Here's the walls over here with more stone like that. Like so. There we go. So let's take another quick break. I'm going to paint in the trees and the bushes around this composition. I'm not going to draw them in actually, because I'm just going to show you how you can just do a fun rendering of some trees and things like that around your architecture that you're drawing. And you don't have to be too critical of worrying about every pencil line and everything like that. I think we have enough here information. The only thing I want to do is do 4 lamps. I want to do 2 large lamps on our piers here, and then another couple of lamps here on the outside here. And I think we'll have enough detail that will be plenty good enough to start painting, okay? So let me take another quick break, everybody, and I hope you don't mind. And I always mention too, again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen here. All subscribe does is really just, it'll let you know when you go onto YouTube and click onto YouTube channel, you'll see my videos on the top of your page, and it'll show you, wow, Chris has got a new video out. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. You don't have to worry. It's not going to send you any emails or text messages or phone calls. None of that. Subscribing to my channel only does one thing. It just lets you know when my videos come out. You'll see a little when you open up YouTube again. If you go onto YouTube and you haven't been on for like a week or two or maybe a couple days, when you click on YouTube on your computer or your phone, you'll just see a little reminder on YouTube that says, "Oh, Chris has made a new video." So I hope you'll do that. Subscribe so you don't lose me. I want you to keep coming back and studying with me. And I think you'll learn a lot about watercolor each time you study with us here on our channel. We do lots of great information. I really pride myself in making sure that I'm covering the fundamentals every time we get together, so that you sort of get all those fundamental processes and methods and techniques going in your repertoire, so that you're not sort of drifting off into other things and losing track of what is going to be the most important things that are going to help you to get better at watercolor. That's the key. If you can do the things that are going to help you to get better at watercolor, that means you're going to have way more of a chance of staying with it and sticking with it. It's the same thing with anything else. If you have a terrible teacher, if you're going to study music or anything else, and they don't know how to teach you, you're going to give up after a while because you're not going to get any success. And then you're going to say, why am I bothering practicing or doing anything? I'm not getting good. I'm not getting it. I want you to get it. I want you to learn. And that's why I do the things I do. Sometimes people complain that I repeat things over and over, but I'm sorry. The best way to learn is to repeat things over and over. So most of you are happy with that, but the few people that aren't, I'm okay with that too. I mean, maybe sometimes people just have to learn for their own have to learn on their own, and they don't like to really listen to someone repeat things or whatever it is. But for the most part, I get so many great emails, comments in my comment section of people that are having great success on my channel. You're sending me in your paintings. I'm seeing some of these paintings coming into my channel, into my email, and I'm saying, oh my God, I can't tell if this is my painting or the student's painting. So many of you, you know who you are. You've sent me in your paintings, and I honestly can say I actually struggled for like minutes looking at paintings and saying, is this my painting? Did they send me my painting back to me? Or is it? So I know it's really working. My methods and techniques work, and please stick with me. Enough talking here. I know you want action, so I'll be right back. Action Jackson will be right back. Okay, so we're going to get started here. I'm going to do the pier lights here first. These are kind of large. What's kind of good about these is these kind of give the painting a little more three-dimensional quality because we're going to make these quite large. So I'm going to go like this. Like that. And we'll do the same thing over here. So we're going to make two identical pier lights like this. And they're kind of like, I'm lining up the bottom portion of the light right at the bottom of where the house is, the bottom of the house. And then I'm just going to bring up the light like so. Like that. And then it's going to have some interesting details on the side like that. And then we're going to go up like this to a pyramid. So you're going to make a triangle, like so. Then you're going to have a couple of kind of like rectangles on top. One rectangle, another rectangle, two rectangles on top of one another, and then a round type shape, like a half a moon or an arch type shape. And then another top to that, like that. So that looks like pretty good. Those are some good lamps there. And then we have some lights in there, and we can just put couple of lights in there, as we can see a little bit of just like that. Nothing, just a little bit of an indication of a couple lamps in there, a couple bulbs, I should say, bulbs in there. And this is going to be filled in solid, dark, like that. Okay, so those are the two large lamps on the piers. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make a couple lamps on this over here. So for the side here, I'm going to make another two lamps, and I'm going to match them to these. So let me just make an angle down there like that, an angle down there like this. And I just make a little bit of a bottom to that. And then a couple of those interesting points on the ends of the light, and then a triangle on top, and then we have a little bit of a decorative top to it. Nothing too fancy, and that's good. So now you can see we pretty much have everything all set up and ready to go. The lamps are very important. They look beautiful, they look ornate, and add a lot of interest to this painting. So that's what we want to do. We want to make sure we have interesting things in our painting. We have our piers. Let's do our we have our sidewalk here with some stones, like so, like that, and we're all set. We're ready to paint. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let me pour some fresh clean water So I always mention it's always good you start out. You have some you have a water container, fresh clean water, like that, and then you put that next to your workstation here where you're painting. I also always suggest you have a tissue or a paper towel in your hand, or you can also use a sponge next to your water container to just check off a little bit of water. I like using the tissue, so I always rinse off my brush. You can hear me, I rinse off my brush. Then I take and I shake off a little water, then I tap it on my tissue, and then I go in and get my paint and we start working. Now, the thing is, I'm going to want to start working with specific colors that I know I'm going to need within my painting. And I'll tell you right now, this one's going to be a lot of greens, yellows, and blues. So let's get started. Let's mix up some greens, yellows, and blues. Sap green, let's go with the middle section of my palette. Sap green, lots of it. Dark, like that. Then I rinse off my brush, dry off a little bit on here. I don't want to be flooding out my palette with tons of water. I want to make sure I dry off my brush on the tissue, and then I say, okay, what's the next? Let's do cadmium lemon yellow, a lot of that over here. Wow, look at that. So we're going to keep the color scheme for this painting pretty simple. We're not going to get too crazy with millions of colors, just a couple colors, and I think we can have a beautiful painting. So cadmium lemon yellow, cadmium yellow lemon, I should say. It depends, you can get different brands, they say different things, but basically a lemony yellow. A sap green here in the center, like that, nice, and get some rich color out on there. Rinse off the brush, dry off the brush on a tissue or a sponge or a paper towel. Then you're going to go in and get some French ultramarine blue with some burnt umber and some burnt sienna. So a little bit of a dark color. Burnt sienna here, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. A little bit of a dark. I think that looks good. Okay, so you have a little bit of a dark color, your green, your really super light yellow, lemony yellow. Then down here we're going to go with cerulean blue. Cerulean blue right in the middle here, cerulean blue. Let's go with some viridian green over here on the right side. So you have some cerulean blue, viridian green. And I think we're having a good bit of color out here on the palette that I think we have enough that's about the colors we need for this painting. I don't think we need much more than that. So now the key is, let's get in here and have some fun. So I usually like to go with the darks first, so maybe I'll use a smaller brush. That was a number 6. This is a number 4 travel brush. So I'm going to go in there and get some of that brown. Let's do our door. Okay, so we're going to do our door in here, dark wood door. You can pick up some different colors and kind of massage those into the painting. You know, you don't want to just stick with sometimes with just one color. You know, add some different variety to your colors. So you can kind of see already I'm sort of mixing it up a little bit. I don't want to go with the boring same old colors everywhere. Okay, there you go. I rinse off my brush, I dry it on the tissue so I don't have too much water on my brush, and then I just kind of get that bottom of the door good and straight like that. Then I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to leave the panes, the grills of this window, I'm going to leave those for last because I want to paint in some blue and green on this window for reflections. So let's leave the darker grills of this, they're going to match this. So the grills of this door are going to match this color. So if you want to think ahead a little bit, I'm thinking ahead a little bit and I'm saying, you know what, does that make sense? you're thinking ahead a little bit in watercolor and you're saying, oh, wow, hey, I got to add some green and blue in here in the reflections of the window because it's a daytime scene and the light is reflecting and it's hitting the windows, and the green of the trees and the blue of the sky is hitting this window and it's making it look green and blue. Well, I don't really want to, I want to do that light color first, then do the dark over the top, if that makes sense. So you're kind of thinking like a glazing technique on this section here. So you're thinking as a glazing technique over here on this door, you're saying, yeah, I need to go light in this area of the window. The glass of this door, the glass on this door is light. It's picking up a light reflection of light green and light blue from the sky and the trees out here around the house. And so why would I want to put in a dark color here and then try to paint in a light color like a light green or a light blue? It's going to all get mixed up and messed up and it's not going to look good. So let's think like the glazing technique. Lights first, darks on top. Okay, that's all. That's where you always hear me saying on my channel, and that's why I always teach. I teach you both the glazing technique and the alla prima technique. Alla prima means you're just starting out painting in your watercolor and you're painting right through the painting and you're not really worrying too much about doing like light washes and dark washes and taking too much consideration with that. But in this section here, you're going to say, well, I'm going to use the glazing technique right inside of here. So I'll do that right away. I'm going to go in and just do some blue, some green, like that. Okay. Like that. Now, when this dries 100%, which is like a half an hour from now, then I'll go over and do my dark grills of my window. Okay. And then let's keep going here. Now this over here, this is where we're going to do the same thing. Let's start over here actually. So let's do some more. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Here we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to paint. I'm going to actually paint and leave the whites of the grills of the window. Hopefully you can see that. I'm leaving the whites of the paper. And you could even go a little darker up top. And then the same thing. There we go. So you can kind of see I'm just carefully, and this is where when you paint those swatches, remember how we do those swatch paintings where we're painting swatches and practicing our watercolor palette compositions where we're doing our palette. That's where this comes in handy because you're used to painting squares. So right here you're sort of like already you're feeling good. You're doing some of your swatches right here on your window. I'm going over the tops of the you can paint over the top of this. This is going to be dark, like a black color. So you can paint your... Here I'm going to go extra light. Like this. And here I'm going to go extra light because that's glass for that. Like that. Okay. Wow, look at that. Okay, now we're going to go up here. This is dark. We're doing some dark window. And this is just going to be for Okay, so we're just doing our squares, our rectangles here. And then those don't have to be perfect. You can kind of see some of these windows you can do quicker than others. And I'm not doing anything really perfect. I'm just trying to get the overall idea of things. Okay, so I had a little more shadowing here. So there's some shadowing here. Underneath these windows, over the top of the windows, there's a little bit of shadowing under there. Like that. And there's some more shadowing under here too. There's a little bit of a window sills under here, and you can kind of see the shadowing underneath that. Like this. And then we're going to keep working our windows. Let's do that. Let's just get our windows in. I think you're really going to enjoy this. I'm going to do some windows, more windows over here, maybe some. There we go. And then you just kind of mix in some other colors too. A little bit of, mix in some browns. That's a little bit of raw umber. So, you can mix in some raw umber in some of your windows. I guess the thing is to kind of mix up the colors. Try not to make everything the same wash, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like if you just do the same wash over and over, that kind of looks boring. So you just try to get a wash in there and then charge in some different color mixtures as you go. But kind of stick with these same colors. We're not really changing anything. Do you see how we did that? Does that make sense? We get the mixes of colors we want to use for this painting out on our palette, and from there we just keep using these same colors. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to wonder, what colors am I mixing again? Or, oh my God, what did I use? Or what should I be using now? No, you have everything out there. In the beginning, before you start painting, you mix your colors that you're going to use. And once you do that, then you're home free, because then you just start painting and you keep going. You get into a rhythm. You can see I'm in a rhythm here. I'm just moving right through. I'm doing all my windows first, which is all those swatch-like squares, which we practice on a somewhat frequent basis. You see me always doing my swatches with colors and figuring things out and palettes and all these good things. Okay, and I'm just making the colors a little more faded looking inside the glass of these larger lanterns on top of these piers, these lights. And then over here, I notice that's a little bit, there usually is a shadow under here, like this. And what else do we have? Okay, we did all of our windows, I think. Yes, we did. And what else can we do next? Let's do our roof. Now our roof is interesting. Let's go with the larger brush. So I used the number 4 Da Vinci Maestro number 4 travel brush to do our windows. Now I'm going to use a number 6 Raphael Kolinsky Sable. You can always tell the Raphael brushes, they have the orange tips on the end. So if you're looking to purchase a few of those, you know what they look like. They have the orange tip on them. I use these all the time, the Raphaels. Okay, so now we were going to just start doing the roof, because the roof is pretty dark. Let's get our darker washes in. Now what's interesting is let's use this here, which is like a brown blue mixture, right? We had French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, burnt umber. Let's add a little purple to that. This is going to dry lighter, everybody. Looks pretty dark now, right when I'm putting it on, but it will dry lighter. And I'm just going to go like this and start blocking that in, the roof colors. Okay, I'm going to add some purple to it. Now the thing is with purple, if you add purple into your roof, you're going to need to add purple everywhere else. I'm afraid that I forget to sometimes mention that, but if I'm adding another color into my painting, I definitely want to add that same color everywhere else. So there we go. This we're going to leave over here, trees. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of that purple and just put it in over here. Maybe a little bit of purple over here. Let me just do that. Okay, a little bit of purple goes a long way here because purple is a beautiful color. It's that violet color that you normally see your eyesight. If you close your eyes on a really sunny day for like a minute and you open your eyes back up, you'll see violet. You'll see the color violet because sunlight is gold. And the complementary color for violet is yellow. So if you're seeing yellow sunlight, mostly golden sunlight, if you close your eyes and then open them real fast, you'll see purple, which is the complement of yellow. So a lot of times you'll actually maybe not even be perceiving it, but you're seeing a lot of purple when it's a sunny day out, really bright sunny day. You're seeing an actual violet color all the time because your eyesight's adjusted to the gold yellow sunlight color. So that's a fun thing to remember. I guarantee if you do that, if you if you close your eyes on a really sunny day and then open them again quickly, you'll see that there's a purple color you'll notice. That's what it is. And then right now I'm going to do some shadowing under the eaves of the roof. So I'm doing the eaves of the roof right now. Or I should say the gables. I'm doing the gables right now. And the gables have some shadow on them. You can blot up some shadow if you feel you've gone too dark with too much shadow, but I'm kind of just trying to get that bright white trim where the gable is. I'm going to try to get some shadows going in there. So and there's a little bit of blue, a little bit of gold. Maybe sometimes I go too dark, then you lift up a little bit. So if you kind of feel like you go too dark, or you can always. So I'm just going to continue on here. Keep painting. You're probably saying to yourself, "Ooh, Chris is going a long time without taking a break." You're right. I'm going to take a break any second now. I think I'm just going to do this last little bit over here, and then we'll take a break because I don't want to get too tired and then start getting off track here. So let me, and we'll do some more. Okay, this is a perfect time. I'm going to take a break. We'll come back, we'll keep working on this, but as you can see, we're getting lots of good washes on here. We got our roof colors in, we got our windows completed, our door almost 100% completed. We got some washes on our walls here where we're going around the trim, so we can kind of see that trim now. We're going to go a little darker here and there. We're going to do some darker little touches of paint to get our trim there. If you go off the mark a little bit, no big deal. We'll come back, we'll fix that. And that's why we take breaks, because these kind of things happen when we try to do too much at one time. So let's take a break and I'll come right back. Promise we'll be finished, I think, after two more tries. We're going to do the next try, the next go. We're going to do some more of the details of the windows over here, the metal roof. We'll do some light fixtures over here and over here too as well, and these two light fixtures. And then the last thing we'll do are some very, very light trees around this house here that we painted, and I think we'll be pretty much in great shape. So we're going to do a little bit of landscaping at the very end, but right now let's finish up on the fixtures, light fixtures, and a few more shadows on the walls. And I think we should be good. All right, so we're going to continue on here. We've got a lot of good painting done so far. Again, we just mentioned that we used our number 4 Da Vinci Maestro Pure Kolinsky's natural hair brush here, number 4 travel brush, to do our windows, which are, you know, kind of fine lines and fine painting, so we need that really fine brush like so. And then we used our number 6 Raphael Kolinsky Sable brush to do our larger roof sections here. And let's continue on. We did some larger washes too with our Kolinsky. Let's continue on here. Let's see, what do we have? Okay, let's do some more. We'll do some more shadowing. So I'm doing some shadowing. I'm just going to mix it in different colors here. And don't forget, the shadows are going to dry lighter. So if you put in a wash, you can always too blot up a little bit with a tissue if you feel you've gone too dark with a shadow. I think we're doing pretty good here. Let's do some more shadowing on the front here. Just a little bit on the front bit of this a little bit of warm and cool everywhere. So, you know, you want to use some warm, some cool, mix up your colors a little bit. And we're just doing light. You can see here light shadowing. Over here there's a little bit of a darker shadow, so do that. A little more shadowing under here. That tends to be under the eaves. And what else do we have? We do some splashing. I like to do splashing here just to give a little bit of that stucco-y kind of feel to it. This is stucco, this house, so I'm going to do some, just some, you know, kind of very, very light splashing technique here just to give it that touch of speckled look. Then I think inside here, so let's do some more French ultramarine blue burnt umber, burnt sienna, burnt French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, maybe a little bit of purple there too. And let's get a little bit of shadowing inside here. This is in the foyer, in the portico. So you do want that to be darker in there. So I'm going to put that darker wash in there, like so. And there is light bouncing in there from outside, but up in the ceiling area I think it is a little darker. So I'm going to try to do that, leave it darker in there. And put a little bit of wash on the ground there. I think that's good. There's a little bit of darker wash there. So I'm just trying to get everything pretty close to what I'm seeing. And that looks pretty good. And what else can we do now as we're going through this? Let's start working on some of the trees up top. And again, I'm going to leave this real loose. And I'm actually going to use even a larger brush yet. I'm going to go, wow, I'm going to jump up to a 14 Da Vinci Maestro. 14 Da Vinci Maestro. Kolinsky Sable natural hair brush. I'm going to change out the water in my water bucket. Clean, fresh water. And then let's go in and do some greens and some, so we're going to do okay, we're going to do some tree shapes, but I don't want to go too dark. You could use some finger painting effects. I like to use finger painting effects just to sort of, you know, get some texture going with the trees. And you can also make some darker blue down here with some sap green to maybe add some interesting darks to that. And I'll pick up some of that golden yellow. And again, I'm just trying to, maybe I'll take my brush and hold it like this and try to do some, I'll lift up there. I don't want to go too dark there. Okay, so some of that kind of just flows on down into the roof area. That's okay if you do that, if you kind of just put some and I think if you leave this really loose and free and not too, I'm going to do some splashing here like so. You see I'm doing some splashing, and I wouldn't worry about too much more than that. Like, the star of the show is the architecture in this house. Let's not start to try to compete with it and make these like wonderful trees and start to like, oh, we got to make gorgeous, beautiful trees. And spend, like an hour on the trees, and oh, that'll get really bad. So you want to just basically do the very, very least that you can with your trees right now. Just like that, a little suggestion of it, as they say. Suggestive brush strokes and washes here. Okay, that's all you want to do. You saw how easy that was. And then we can go in and get some, we can use our needlepoint brush here. Needlepoint brush, we can take that and get a little bit of brown and French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, and we can do some we can do a little bit of some tree branches, enough that you will think, oh wow, Chris spent hours and tremendous amounts of efforts, and yet I did not. I just, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just adding a few tiny little bits of detail, like so. Look. And yet, if you saw this painting when it's finished and in a frame, you'd go, oh wow, Chrissy spent hours. Spent tremendous hours and did all this amazing details. And you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just doing a tiny little bit of a couple of branches here and there, just to give it a interesting look of leaves, foliage, and some branches, and that's really it. And then I'm going to continue on. So I have my, now I might go back to my number 6, Raphael, get some paint, some more splashing over there, over here, like so. And then maybe a little bit of green over here. Maybe there's some grass over here. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to do some grass over here. Sap green, more of that yellow. There we go. So I'm going to do some more of sap green with a little bit of the cadmium lemon yellow. And I'm just trying to get some of that darker green there in the front of the picture, right along this wall here. I hope you're going to have fun with this painting, and we're almost completed now. We're really I'm probably going to go in and try to do a little more sap green here. So maybe I'm doing a little bit of shrubs over here on the sides. Like that. There we go. Okay, and I think we are really a little more burnt umber, burnt sienna, sap green. Maybe we do a little more darker green over here. So I'm just trying to make this a little warmer. A little bit of a warmer green in the front here in the foreground. So I just add that burnt sienna and burnt umber. Okay, and now we can do some more shadowing under here. I think we're just going to do that. Shadowing there, shadowing here. And I'm just going to do a little bit of color on the piers. Blot up a little bit if you have to, so you don't lose control of the washes. So I'll do over here, I'll blot that up a little bit. Like that. And then you have some more shadowing under the stone here. There we go. So you can kind of see I'm just finishing up now. I'm sort of trying to get my shadows over here on this wall. Like that. And then we have some shadowing over here. Like that. One more over here like this. We're going to make this shadow over here. Pick up our shadow color and just go right across, right there, right across here on the steps. So those steps are shadows along the step. The tops of the stones on the steps are catching the light, so you can kind of see it's bright light. That's the top of the steps. And I think that's pretty good. Again, we'll get our needlepoint brush, and maybe we'll do some lines here for our stone. We'll get some anything, just a little bit of shadowing here, like this. A little more shadowing here, and so we have the cement joints on the stones in the front here. So we have some cement joints here, like that. Okay. And I think we're just going to keep working our details here. Let's do our metal roof, burnt umber, burnt sienna, raw umber, maybe like a golden red, like a rust color. That looks really cool. And then let's do that. We're going to do our rust color metal roof here, a little bit of a metal roof here, standing seam metal roof. You can see the seams there, the vertical lines there. And dab a little bit with the tissue to give it even more interesting look. A little bit of burnt, a little bit of brush, a little bit of shadow color. That's the French ultramarine blue. And I just try to blend that in a little bit so it's a little bit of a shadow there. Like that. And what else do we have? I think all we need to do now is to finish up the lights. And there's a bit of a shadow over here on this side over here. Okay, that's a shadow there, and we also have this over here. This is shadow on the roof. Okay, there we go. And we maybe have a little. There we go. Add a couple little accents of shadow. Hey everybody, just a quick informational. I'm really excited. I've been invited to the Thousand Island Arts Center to teach a workshop this summer. It's August 9th, 10th, and 11th, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it's a daytime workshop, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to have an absolutely fantastic time. I'm going to put up the itinerary in just a second too as well, but I wanted you to have the Thousand Island Arts Center phone number so you can call to register, or you can also register online. That's up to you. Their phone number is 315-686-4123. Again, their phone number is 315-686-4123. Or you can also register and look up all the information online at TIARTSCENTER.org. Again, their website is TIARTSCENTER.org. I'll put the itinerary up here so you can I'll scroll it. I'm not going to read it. I'll just kind of scroll it up so you can kind of see the class description. And you can look this up online too. I encourage everybody to look for the brochure. If you go to the website, you'll see a brochure button. You click on that brochure button, you'll see my course, as well as other courses if you can't happen to make these dates, but you still want to take a watercolor class or watercolor course and workshop. And there's also an online course for watercolor artists. So if you're interested in doing online watercolor courses, they have those as well. That's something this is a great resource, everyone, for your watercolor art. I know some of you mentioned that you wanted to inquire about online art and watercolor painting classes. I'm not doing them right now. I'm really looking forward to maybe in the future doing some online courses, but right now I'm just not geared up for that right now. So they have them though for those that want to do online courses. But just a great resource, and beautiful historic area, beautiful scenery, water and boats everywhere, beautiful architecture, shopping. There's museums. So that's the itinerary. And I hope you'll all make it out to the workshop. And again, we're going to have a great time, tons of fun drawing and painting in watercolor. So I hope to see you there. And let's get back to our watercolor painting. Just to accentuate those fascia trims. They're kind of like rake or fascia trims on the gables of the roof. And I think we're going to do our light fixtures next. Let's do them. Let's add brown, blue, and let's give it a little bit of the black, Payne's gray, and a little bit of ivory black, just to give it a little extra interesting. And there we go. We're just going to start filling in our there we go. Okay, we're coming to a finish now. We're just doing our light fixtures basically, and this would be the same way if we're building a house. You know, the last things you put onto a house are all your fine fine-tune things like light fixtures and painting all the walls, light fixtures, you know. So this is kind of like we're sort of building a house here. Here we go. More Payne's Gray and Ivory Black. Like this, like this. Okay, like that. And we're just kind of painting in the details that we drew in earlier with our sketches. And we have our candelabras in there, our lights, our actual light bulbs. And then here we have the same thing. So we're going to carefully we'll put some shadow on those too, on these light fixtures. And then maybe we'll put a little purple, and we'll just add some shadow underneath these. Just like that. And that looks pretty good. And then we're just going to do a little shadow on our stone here. Just a little bit of a grayish tone on the stones here. And I'll try to leave the top of the stones just, you know, a little bit lighter. That always looks good. That's like the light. Okay. Like that. And I think too, we could use a little bit of maybe a little bit of wash here on the front sidewalk here, the stonework. And I think that looks pretty good. Yes, we could do a few more different things to it to maybe make it a little better. Maybe I'll do some more of the ivory black and Payne's Gray, and we could do some sanding, you know, the standing seam metal tabs on that roof there. That looks good. There should be some shadow underneath here. And there might be a little more. There's usually a little more details underneath the windows. But for the most part, I think it looks really good. We captured the real likeness of this beautiful house. We got the details that we wanted to, the windows, the beautiful light fixtures, the door. We did one more. Let's do one more thing here. Let's get those grids on the brown French burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue. We'll use our fine point brush here. We dry off a little bit of the paint so we don't have too much paint on there. And then let's just do our, we'll do our grills on our, like that. And that looks really good. Doing that last bit of detail there on the door. You can always, sometimes I forget to change out my tissue, make it a little bit lighter. No problem. You can even leave that little bit of a dark spot there. That looks good. Maybe I'll go back in and add a little more dark. So I'll just add a little dark there like that. Pick up some paint like that. That looks pretty cool. That looks like it's picking up reflections of trees and bushes and things out here where we're standing. So those little details, and you can put those too in the, you can put these in here too. You can just blot in a couple with your tissue like that. That looks pretty good. And then you can do a few darks. Like that. A couple darks just to accentuate the gable features of this. We can also make a little bit of speckles here. These are stucco and stone walls here. You speckle on some paint and then you lift it up. You blot it up with a tissue like so. Pretty good. I think we should go with more of a bluish color over here. For our front sidewalk, I think it should be like a blue, kind of a blue stone color, like that. I think that looks better, actually. It was kind of flowing too much into these piers. So if we make that more of a bluish color, like that. And then we move around that paint a little bit. So we're just getting on some different washes. And then we go across here and just dry off that a little bit. Okay, so I think we have a really good rendering of this painting. Glad you were here. You had fun with us. Again, I always say, if you like painting here on my channel, painting along with us, please subscribe. On the right-hand side down here, there's a button, subscribe. All it does is just alert you that we have a brand new video out, and that's all it is. Nothing else, no emails or text messages or calls or any kind of silly stuff like that. Subscribe just means that you're basically, you want to get alerted on your, when you sign into YouTube or when you go onto your YouTube icon on your computer or your phone, you'll just notice that it'll say, oh, Chris has a new video. Here it is. He just made it today or yesterday. And that's all it is. It just alerts you. So there's no real obligation for anything other than just it helps me as a YouTube creator. If you're subscribing, that means you're interested in my work. You like what I'm doing. You're happy with it. If you thumbs up, that's great too. Thumbs up really help me a ton. So if you're clicking that thumbs up button, that means it's really going to help get my videos out there for other people to see and to enjoy. And I'm always just trying to, you know, do a little better on YouTube so that I can progress a little bit more. And then this way I have a little more excitement about my channel, and it just gives me more, you know, enthusiasm